I wanted to make a quick video talking about the protests that have been, going on. Well, the protests about the no cane, because they apparently here in America, they're these liberals that go, oh, there's nobody above the law. But you got to understand that they're only saying that because one, they don't like Donald Trump. They just don't like him. And then they're also saying that because it's pretty clear that the majority of them, so one, they don't like him, and then two, they would rather be the ones to say what the law is. I mean, it's that simple. So these people are actually pretty arrogant, to say the least. Like, not just hypocritical, because, I mean, it's obvious that they're hypocritical because they want to sit here and say that nobody is above the law. But they don't even want there to be a law. Like, so it's not just hypocritical because they're saying that nobody's above the law when in fact, like, they're acting like they're breaking the law. They're breaking the law by not by protesting, because it's not against the law to protest, but it's, violence is against the law. It's against the law to, be violent. And it's against the law to, break, throw things at police and, break buildings and burn cities and, attack anybody that would disagree. And that's what they're doing, is they're attacking anybody that disagrees with them. And so it's like, well, one, you're a hypocrite because you're breaking the law. You say that nobody is above the law, but you're acting like nobody's above the law but you guys, but them. It's like they're the ones that, it's like they're hypocritical. But see, here's the thing. Like, if you believe that it's only, if you believe that that's what it's about, you're deceived, because it's not necessarily, because yes, they're hypocrites, but at the same time, that's not what it's about. What it is simply about is they don't want there to be a law. They would rather have a lawless nation. See, the only reason why they're upset in the first place is because we have a president that's upholding the law, that upholds the law, stands for Christianity, stands for, the Christian belief, and backs that up 100%. And then somebody that is, deporting, illegal immigrants. Um, and then, well, he's also Donald Trump. Because if it was any other, I don't think it's, I mean, it's a little bit about Republican versus Democrat, but I don't think that's the big, thing here. Like, I believe it's simply the hatred for Donald Trump and Donald Trump alone. Because if it was any other Republican president, of course they would be mad, but there wouldn't be any protests. There wouldn't be. I mean, maybe some here and there, but there wouldn't be not a huge, large scale, and nobody would be losing their mind over, because um, there was a Democratic, somebody that was a Democrat that had a basically did the same thing that Donald Trump did or is doing. Um, and his name was Barack Obama. So really, it's not. That's how I know that it's not. I mean, because Barack Obama, he got rid of illegal aliens too. But see, that's how I know it's not really about. I mean, it's a little bit about party, because like, if there was a um, somebody else was president but was still Republican, there would still be some people upset, like, I'm sure. Um, but that's how I know that it's more about the hatred for Donald Trump than anything, is because they, the left, they had a president, Barack Obama, that, did the exact same thing that Donald Trump is doing. So that's how I know, like, it has to do a little bit about the party, but then it goes further to say that they really do not like Donald Trump. They just don't like him. I mean, they don't really have any reason to not like him. A lot of the things that they say are made up, like saying that he's he's above the law. No, he ain't above the law. He's enforcing the law. But see, they, again, it's it's about them wanting a lawless nation. That's what it is simply about, is, because it could be any president that um, would enforce the law, um, and back the police, they're going to be against. I mean, I don't believe that there would be any riots. I don't like, so again, if there was another president, I don't believe that there would be any riots. I do believe that they're rioting because they don't like Donald Trump. However, I will say that I do believe it's the same thing, that, you know, because they just want this nation to be lawless. Um, because we have freedom of this, freedom of that, right? Um, but here's the thing: every nation has laws, and they have laws for a reason. So, um, I did do a video talking about this, and then I, kind of compared it to laws of, the Lord Jesus Christ, the laws that he has. But, and, just saying, well, it's kind of, you can't have it both ways. You can't have, you can't be somebody that respects, the laws here that every nation um, sets up, and then be somebody that doesn't want to follow Jesus because you don't want to be obedient to the way that he wants things to be, and like all of that. But I will say here, like, you you know let me just explain to you how free will works. And how freedom works is just because every nation has laws. I mean, like it or not, every nation has laws, even here in America. And here in America, I, so-called freedom, and we're allowed to, express our freedom and a little bit more than other countries. But pretty much in every country, they kind of allow the citizens to kind of roam freely. But what happens to a citizen if they express that in a way that would break one of the nation's laws? It doesn't matter what nation you're in, you're going to end up in prison or in jail or maybe death, possibly, in some nations. Not all nations, but there are some nations that, yeah, there are some that, um, anyways. So, but it's unique how we all know that. Everybody knows that. Like, and here's the thing, for those that would be like, well, freedom really isn't free then, you would be somebody that wants this whole entire world to be lawless. Like, if you're somebody that's sitting here saying, well, freedom isn't free, um, you're somebody that does not even want their your nation to have laws. You would rather have a lawless world. A lawless world. And so think about this. Think about the days of Noah. Wow. This is during the days of Noah, the entire world. And this is why God sent the flood. The entire world was lawless. They just didn't have any laws. Sodom and Gomorrah, it kind of sounds like it became lawless. See, when you, and here's why there is a God. Because we all know that there has to be laws, right? And so if there are laws put into place, there has to be a God. It like, and so it's really, when it comes down to, is anybody that says, well, freedom just isn't free, there's somebody that just wants this entire world to be lawless. So God is the one that, ultimately created laws for this world. And then the nations, like the nations inside this world, have their own set of laws. No God, no law whatsoever. With the God, there's a law for the way, the order and way things work here on this earth, but then going to every nation, every country, they're also, guess what? They're also going to create laws. But if there's no God, then this whole world can be lawless. And that's what, in the days of Noah, that's what the world was lawless. It was lawless. There was no laws. They did evil continuously. And God, see, they didn't want there to be laws. They said, well, there is no law, but then the the reason why God sent a flood is to, basically, he's almost like he's rebuking them, saying, like, you idiots, there is a law. Um, so anybody that believes that there is no law or should not be any laws is crazy. Um, I would even go far to say you're an idiot. Come on, wake up. There are laws because there is a God. And so, speaking about Sodom and Gomorrah, yes, it was, there was a lot of homosexual sin. There was a lot of sexual sin. But you have to understand that it was also the reason why there was so much sexual sin, because when you take away the law of, you know, the order and the way that God designed, for this world, then there is no sexual sin. And so when a nation or a city or even the world, it doesn't matter how you break it up, if they get rid, if they become a lawless nation or a lawless city or a lawless world, guess what's going to happen? Sexual sin is going to be rampant. Um, but here's one thing, and I was just now got this thought. I mean, how many, and I would be speaking to those that would want a lawless system. Um, Let me ask you a question. Would you want to be raped? No, I don't think so. I can guarantee it doesn't matter who you are. If you're somebody that wants there to be laws, or you're somebody that wants a nation or a city or even the entire world to be lawless, you don't want to be raped. Nobody wants to be raped. Nobody wants to be murdered either. I mean, like, seriously, nobody wants to be murdered and nobody wants to be raped. But you're going to sit here and tell me that there is no God, so therefore we could just be lawless? That's hypocritical. That is very hypocritical to say that, freedom isn't free because we have all these laws and we would rather be lawless. Well, wait a minute. A nation, a city, the world cannot be lawless because why? I mean, you can, and here's my point. It's built inside of us, each and every person knows that there's laws to follow. That this world cannot be lawless. There's no such thing as a lawless world. Why? Because the question that I just asked, I mean, does anybody want to be raped? No. Everybody that gets raped feels violated. And everybody that gets attacked by a murderer is going to protect themselves. So if there is no laws, don't cry to mama just because you got raped, or don't defend yourself when you get attacked. Simple as that.